Paul, obviously, you got your man in yesterday. How did he settle first training session?
Yeah, he looked lively. He's a real bright lad. He's got a big smile on his face. So, no, I mean it's still early doors. I think it's the first time he's had to go and live outside of London since he's been over here. But you look at people in that situation, footballers in that situation, and it takes a little bit of character, doesn't it? He's come over. He's of Guinea descent, and he's Ghana descent, and he's come over from Finland. Been in London now for 5 or 6 years. I think he got a bit of a shock with the journey up here, but listen, it's fine. It's a really good train service between here and London, and he'll settle in once he gets playing football. I know he'll enjoy being here, and we've just got to hope that he enjoys playing football.
Said this yesterday. Importantly for you, it adds those options that you've got things you can do up front.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's a different type of player. And as I say all the time, with all loans, they're all gambles. We never really know, and loans and permanents. We've no idea what's going to happen. But he's enthusiastic. He wants to prove himself. He wants to do well. And he brings a different type of tool to what we've already got with our forward players, because he's got sheer pace about him. Technically he's good. I'm really looking forward to seeing him with the shirt on and doing the business for us.
And you mentioned the offer you're making for another forward player. The fact that you're having to make an offer, does that suggest the club wants to keep him? So you've got that battle to go through first of all?
Yeah, it is. I can tell you now, the offer's been turned down. The club don't want to sell him. So it's one of those things. We've just got to get on with it. We've got to keep looking around. We had another one that we were really interested in terms of a season loan. Unfortunately, the guy's got 2 offers on the table from other League One clubs that they absolutely blow us out of the water in terms of salaries. And we're not talking having to go a little bit more. We're talking double what would be the highest paid player at our club. So that's out as well. And this is the challenge. There are so few target man 9s about that it's really difficult to get them, and that's why we found it hard all the time. It's not through a lack of trying, it's not through a lack of the finances that we can afford. It's just there's limited numbers around, and we'll keep working away. We'll try and get the right players in. We've got players who we've still not been told a definite no on so far, and this is the same with every position. You have 2 or 3 options, maybe 4 or 5 options, and you just keep working through until the right one drops.
Those ones you've just mentioned, including the offer, are they dead in the water now? Do you completely move on from those?
The loan seems to be dead in the water, yeah. But we'll keep sort of plugging away with the one where we've made an offer for, and we'll see where we get to. As I said early on in the week, we've got till the end of the transfer window, have a little bit of time. The truth is, we can only do what we can do. We can't influence what other people are going to do. We can't change their decisions. So keep working away. I was going to say it's not frustrating, but it is frustrating, but it's not something that we can get screwed up about. We've got to just make sure we keep trying to do the right things.
You've got this salary cap management that you've got to play to as well, Paul. That must have its own difficulties when you're looking for players to bring in.
Yeah, of course it does, and we have to go by the rules. It's as simple as that. So we're not going to do anything silly. But we are trying to strengthen the squad. It's as simple as that. We'll do everything we possibly can within the rules, within our financial constrictions that we have. But it's fine. We'll be okay. We've just got to keep trying to do the right things. This always happens in transfer windows. I think when there was no transfer window, these sorts of things were going on all the time. It's only now that there's a deadline that everybody gets all panicky about it. And there's no point panicking, because it ain't going to change anything. We're going to try and do the right things, hope we get the right players in. If we don't, we've got a good enough squad to keep going. In the ideal world, we'd just like a little bit more.
And on the flip side, with this deadline, does the club that you're dealing with, can they play a bit of brinksmanship? Can they, knowing they've got a deadline, that they can take it to the wire?
Yeah, of course they can. They know the situation, and then if they've got their player on their books, they're in a really strong position. They don't have to do anything. So it's one of those where we'll just keep going. We'll just keep trying, making the phone calls, making the inquiries, doing doing the background work on these players and just seeing whether anything drops for us.
Reserve game today. I know the host club want us not to mention it till afterwards, but that's a great 90 minutes for a lot of the lads.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's what we need, because you can do so much in training, but they need to be playing. And I know there's a lot of frustrated players because they're not playing, but we've got a really good side going out there today, a strong side. All of the lads who are not involved in the first team are going to play, who need minutes, and that's Jockle, Jack Ellis, Ben Barkley, Corey, Robbo, Taylor Charters, Jaden, Kai, Terry's going to play in it, Joe Garner, Butts. They're all going to be out there. So it's a strong side that we want the players to go and do it properly and go and make sure that we put on a performance that gets the 90 minutes of match stuff that we need to get out of them.
And this is also a chance, surely, for them to say, "What about me for the weekend, boss?"
Well, that's right. Everybody knows the position that we're in at the moment. We haven't had our first win yet, so we're looking for the right permutation. I've said to the players, I don't think we're a million miles away. I think we've shown real good control in the games this season. We've kept the ball well, but I've said it many times where we're just lacking a little bit. Maybe that's the step up. Maybe that's just a little bit of confidence, a bit of belief. I don't really know. But I honestly do think that we're doing okay, but just okay at the moment.
Didn't mention Dylan there. Are you managing the week in terms of training with him?
Yeah, Dylan's just going to join in the training all week. We're going to have quite a physical training day today where we can manage his load, and we can modify him in bits of it if we need to. So he's going to have a good week. He's trained so far this week, and hopefully he'll have a good full week with us.
Any other injury niggles that you can talk about?
No, nothing. We had a couple of just bangs, like contact injuries from the weekend, but everybody's training now, so hopefully okay.
The lads, the mood, when you say to them we're not far away, they must agree with that because they can see it themselves out there.
Well, I think you feel it as a player, don't you? I mean, obviously there's a frustration because we haven't won a game yet. I think the big thing we've got to do is take that away from us, where everybody gets really focused on results because that's how we get judged. But I think if we can get back to just concentrating on what our performance is and making sure we get the performance right, then normally the result will follow. So that's the big thing this week. Let's get the performance right. Let's understand what we need to do. Let's understand where we need to be better, and if we can get the right level of performance, then hopefully we can get a few more smiles on our faces.
When you get back into work this week after the weekend result, are there any lips on the floor, or is there any sulking, or are they up for it?
No, of course they're up for it. It's so early on in the season. There's so much to play for. You can't be getting down now. We're in a brilliant position. We earned the right to be in League One this season, and we are loving the challenge. We've got another really good stadium to go to, a team that's playing well in Port Vale, and it's a great game to look forward to. So there's no, I don't want any sulking. I'm not coming in with my lip trailing on the floor. I'm coming in with a determination to try and turn things around and get a result at Port Vale this weekend.
A couple of wins and a draw, you say it every week. There's no easy game at this level.
No, they had I think you look at it, I mean, the first game of the season where they get absolutely smashed at Barnsley, I think that was probably the biggest surprise of the first game of the season. But they've done well since. They've got a win in the cup against Fleetwood. They've had 2 wins and a draw in the league, and a good result on the road away at Charlton at the weekend. So we know it's going to be tough. But I'm going to say that every single game because this is a tough league. League 2 was a tough league. We've stepped up now. We're in an even tougher league. But it's a brilliant opportunity for us. A great place to go. They'll be expecting to win. It's as simple as that. So we've got to go and make sure we get our players right and get our performance right.
It is one of those grounds, isn't it, where the atmosphere can build up, and it's a good place to play if you're playing it right.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a great place to play. It can build up in favour of the home team if you allow it to. It can also build up in favour of the away team as well, and that's the thing that we've got to try and do. We've got to try and get our start to the game right, get our style of football right, get that performance right, and see what comes at the end.
It's about us as well, isn't it?
Yeah, we have to remember it's about us. That was our thought process all last season, and that hasn't changed. We do look at the opposition, but it really is about us, and it's about us going and performing to the levels that we know we're capable of in all sides of the game. I expect us to absolutely work our socks off like we have done so far, and maybe even give us a little bit more. and I also expect us to play the football that we're capable of playing. I want us to create opportunities, which I thought we did better at the weekend, and we now need to be a bit more clinical.
And their side, I mean, I think having watched some of the highlights of their games, they like to just get it forward and get after it. That's possibly a different style of play to what we've come up against so far.
Yeah, I think they there's times where they do play out from the back through Ripley, but in general it tends to be get it forward. And they've got forward players who can cause problems. They've got midfielders who've got legs about them and decent footballers. They're a big physical League One side that we're going to have to be prepared to roll our sleeves up and match them for everything that they do, and then maybe even give a little bit more than they've got.
Really nice for you, Paul, to have this group of players who are all chomping at the bit, ready to go. But the team selection-wise, we said it last week, that's something that you really want to fine-tune and get right.
Yeah, of course we do. I mean, we want to fine-tune it for each individual game. It's not going to be that one team's going to see us through. That just doesn't happen. So we do have to get the team selection right. But that's the challenge that I've had every day since I've come back into the football club, season and a half ago. So that's a great challenge. It's what I want to have. There was times when I first come in where the team virtually picked itself because of the options. We've now got good options. We want even more, and that's not me being greedy. That's just the way that it is, and we'll keep going until we get the right permutation for each game, and then we'll assess the selection for the next one.
Having said that, would there be a thought of some players going out on loan if that opportunity arose with the numbers that are here now?
Possibly, if I believe it's right for us, but also for the player as well. There's players here who I probably would let go out if an opportunity comes, but all I can say is, as I sit here today, there hasn't been any inquiries to take any of our players, and until that changes, they'll all carry on working, they'll all carry preparing to be involved in the game at Port Vale, and we'll see where we go.
We've seen a lot of good things so far this season. You and the players, you've said it, are ready to put the marker down, get that win and really kick on.
Yeah, well, we have seen a lot of good things. There's been a lot of decent football. There's been some good defending, and I'm not going to say it again, but you look at the goals against and the goals for column, and we can all see where the issue is, and that's something we want to get better. We were very good with it last season. Changes happened in the squad, some that I was happy that happened, some that I wasn't happy that happened, but it did. We move on, we get on with it, and we've got a group of players now who all want to do well, and we need to make it sure it's a doing well full performance, not a doing well in patches of the performance.
We never get bored of mentioning the fans. They did their bit, they're going to be there. There's over 500 tickets gone already for the weekend. They'll be there in numbers. It's great to see that they're backing everything that we're trying to do.
It's fantastic. I thought the supporters at home last time out were absolutely fantastic. The way they stuck with the players, the way they stayed there at the end and clapped the players off. We're all disappointed that we lost at home, massively disappointed. But the fans showed that they can see that we are trying to do things right. They can see that we've built up a little bit of a relationship, and we've just got to keep with it. I'm delighted when we see hundreds of our supporters when we travel away from home as well, because it's not easy, and we've got to make sure that our performance is right, that keeps them smiling and keeps them shouting.
Paul, thank you.